We just got done watching the movie Man Finds Tape, and honestly, this is kind of maybe a divisive found footage film. It kind of mixes cosmic horror with the found footage documentary kind of genre. I'm not 100% certain it works, but yeah, let's talk about it.
All right, guys, here is the logline for Man Finds Tape. After finding mysterious video clips, siblings investigate the strange recordings and uncover a disturbing secret spreading through their Texas town. I can
Always Texas, man.
Can confirm Texas is like this.
Yeah, I believe it.
All right, guys. So this movie came out last year, 2025. We were actually meant to do this on our 31 Days of Halloween last season. However, it didn't come out until a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago.
Yeah,
and
it's only on, like, you have to rent it, basically.
Yeah, it's only rent available. So, anyway, kind of like what Carson said, there's this mysterious thing going on around the town. I will say this movie started out really good to the point where I was like,
the setup is amazing.
I love this, because they start talking about Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster, all these kind of like unanswered theories and mysteries that people want to believe. And she posed a really good question, like, how has our camera systems gotten way better since back then? And we don't have
capture this footage anymore.
We don't have overarching proof of all these.
That made me really excited, because I was like,
too.
oh, we're going to kind of get into, like, something's causing cameras not to work, or, like, something weird and mysterious.
Mm-hmm. But this movie...
The payoff isn't good.
This movie kind of did what a lot of other movies do, and the ending just kind of goes all over the place. Now, that's not to say that the entire way through I wasn't having a good time. I did like this. I do think there's rewatchability here. Yeah. However, I don't know. I was a little bit let down.
Yeah, I was definitely into it. There's a certain point in the plot where you even get some big reveals, and you come face to face with this mysterious character, the stranger. And even then, I was still kind of like riding with the movie. I was like, okay. And then the climax of the movie happens, and then we get like another 20 minutes of movie, it feels like.
Yeah.
Where nothing substantial is added to the plot, in my opinion, that really matters. Or maybe it could have been shown even earlier in the film, and it wouldn't have needed to be at the end.
Right. So
there's some aspects of that, but for such a low budget kind of movie, for a found footage movie, I think visually it looks really great. You don't get the whole shaky cam thing. That is partially because this is supposed to be like a documentary. Mm-hmm. I will say my suspension of disbelief didn't really work on this movie for some reason, because it kept taking me out, because I'm like, why would this be a documentary? Like, this would be like the craziest thing in the world if it was proven like somewhat true, that people were taking it seriously like this. So I kind of felt like maybe it shouldn't have been a documentary. It should have just been the tapes. I think that would have been creepier, maybe more effective even.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know.
Go ahead, finish what you were gonna say.
No, I was just gonna say there is like some interesting themes here about like abusive power and like people that suck the life out of everyone around you. So I think that's kind of interesting, because usually found footage films, I don't think we get that much themes, to be honest. It's usually like, here's creepy stuff happening, that's it. So this one kind of at least played on some interesting ideas, but yeah, it just didn't 100% work for me. It did remind me of Strange Harvest in a weird way, which is another found footage film.
Strange Harvest is better though, way better.
I think Strange Harvest is better, more thrilling at least. And then, but they both have that cosmic horror aspect, like this like otherworldly alien demonic creatures out there that's coming to get you.
Right. Okay.
Beyond our understanding.
Let's go down a list of just criteria. Was this criteria met? Because I feel like on paper this movie kind of works, but just like in execution, we were let down a little bit. So let's just talk about acting first. What did we like? What did we not like about acting? I think and you always kind of ding me on this, but I thought that the character who played, who is it? The sister, Lynn Page, so Kelsey Prabilski.
Yeah, I don't know.
Didn't love her, and also same thing with Lucas Page. It felt like a little bit like almost overacting to me. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I feel like, because with found footage, it needs to be almost naturalistic acting. Mm-hmm. And I feel like they were actually following a script and not just making it up like a lot of found footage films do, which made it feel less natural to me. So I would say, yeah, the acting just didn't always work. I do think there's something to using modern cameras in found footage films that makes the acting feel worse for some reason, because when it looks crappy, you can almost excuse things easier. And this movie is using, like, clearly they're using, like, good cameras and stuff because it's supposed to be taking place in modern day. So I think that aspect of it just, I don't know, it didn't fully work. The preacher guy, I thought he was decent. He was creepy enough. I don't know. Yeah, the acting was whatever to me.
Okay.
Little cornball.
Yeah, a little bit. Now let's talk about story and writing. We kind of already touched in on this, but like plot, dialogue, structure, pacing, whether the story works. I would say the story works up until like the last 30 minutes.
I would agree. And it's not that I want them to answer every question that's asked, but we could have at least had better hints at what's going on. And I don't even know if I like the whole like stealing the power from the other guy and all that stuff. Just felt kind of cheesy.
Well, it just felt like they were trying to build it as if, like, I don't know, maybe he was the Antichrist or something like that. You know what would be crazy? I thought about this when all of a sudden she goes through that door and then there's like that spiral stairs that goes down. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, that looks like you would be going down to the pits of hell. I thought of, I don't know if you've ever seen these.
That's what I thought.
On social media, where I was like, dude, how crazy would it be if you just see like a huge, like, have you seen those social media videos where it's like, do you have thalassophobia, which is fear of the oceans, and then they just show these ginormous like creatures in the water, and you're like, oh, frick, or like in space.
I have seen these.
Yeah, and I was like,
I don't have that phobia.
Same, but I was like, how crazy would it be if like all of a sudden she looks down the staircase, and because they had CGI in this film and it wasn't great, but if based off of that blurry camera, if they had just like the huge face of like, I don't know, Satan right there at the bottom of the staircase. Worms. Yeah, instead of the worms, because the worms, it was like, all right, the worms is the plot device. Why are we making it the big scare here? I don't know. I thought it would be cool to have something.
Well, it was also confusing that he ran down the staircase, and the next thing we know, we see him in his car, and then he bursts into flames.
Right.
There were some logic gaps there that just didn't work for me, and I don't know.
Okay, so let's talk about cinematography and visuals. For me, I would say inconsistent.
Like visually
is cool, okay. But to work, and this kind of goes into the next category for pacing, but it got cut up in so many different ways that I kept getting lost a little bit. One, we never really find out clearly. I think it would have been cool, especially the way that they set it up for how the parents were the videography people and they created the whole world. If we found out and saw how exactly their end came, and we never really get that full, like,
they just died from being worn out. Kind of lame.
So
I will say, like, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say to kind of get that bridge connected would have been really cool, because then I think that could have been the introduction to what they were trying to do at the end of this film, to like have it start there instead of like all of a sudden now we're getting all this kind of like space and time, whatever creature things. I don't know. Yeah,
I got you. I think for me visually, for the most part, it does work. I like that they use multiple cameras. Like you have the retro camera, you have like text messages, which I guess isn't a camera, but you have like them literally texting each other on screen. You have the webcam, you have the security cameras around the town, stuff like that. I kind of enjoyed that we had those multiple types. Okay. I like when found footage does that.
I was gonna say then it's not. I do appreciate those. Like I thought it was gonna be through phone, through cameras, through webcams, and through like security cameras. Yeah. But then they go into documentary, then they go outside of the found footage style at the very end, and then you're just like, and to me it got kind of lost of like where we were. What was that one movie that we watched about the devil game show one, where like
Devil All the Time.
Oh
no, not Devil All the Time.
No,
Late Night with the Devil.
Late Night with the Devil. They had a very clear, like, you can tell when it was the film, you can tell when we're outside of that. And they stayed really consistent with two. For me, this was like they had 5 different styles, and they used some of the styles to be like old time and throwback, but then they kept some of those styles to present day. And there's a couple of times I was just jarred. I was like, wait, where are we in the timeline now? And that was like the problem with it for me. I did appreciate the multiple cameras and mediums that they had, but it was just like at the end of it, I think I never really got
lost.
Okay.
I never really got lost. I could kind of tell, because like the narration would hint like, okay, this is kind of like a flashback, and that would be the old camera, and it would be him when he's a kid or whatever. But I will say the thing about the parents, because they find all this archive at the end of the movie, and we didn't get to see any of that stuff at all, which could have been really creepy to see throughout the movie even, and we didn't see any of it. And you think that would have been, if I was making a documentary, I would be using that footage.
Right,
Not
like
just
using all these
grainy
cases.
footage of someone getting run over.
Kind of like if a mix of Creep and like, what is that one movie with, is it Kevin Bacon? Where he's the writer in the house.
I'm not sure.
The one
Kevin
where
Bacon. Sinister. You mean Sinister? That's not
yeah.
Kevin Bacon.
Who is it?
That's what's his name? Black Phone.
Oh right.
Oh my
Ethan
goodness,
Hawke.
what's his
Ethan Hawke.
name? Ethan Hawke. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
okay,
love
sorry.
him.
I love Ethan Hawke.
Daniel's favorite actor.
It felt like
Yeah, I agree.
These two
It needed
movies
something
kinda
different.
slapped together, but those different movies did it better, even though I don't really love either of those movies. So I don't know, man. I think if they could have set it up like Creep tapes, to where it's just like you're getting all these different tapes that they're looking at, because it's man finds tape, but he finds one, then everything happens to him, instead of like.
I think we could have pieced together the story too. Like we could have seen just separate images, and eventually would have been like, oh, there's something like they're being fed upon, and like all. We could have figured it out at some point.
Okay, so now moving on to editing and pacing, I would say, okay, if we were starting acting, I would probably put it at a C minus. What would you grade acting and performances? C minus?
Yeah, probably the same. Depending on the scene. Yeah, maybe a C. I'll say
Okay,
C.
story and writing, I would honestly give this maybe a C plus.
I'd go B.
Okay.
I think it's a decent enough. It's original enough compared to other found footage films.
Correct. Cinematography and visuals, I'm going to go C.
Yeah, I'm going to abstain.
Okay. Now,
I think it's a problem with the genre.
Editing and pacing. This is the one that kind of, because we were jumping through so many different, like we were jumping from the documentary, then we were jumping to the podcast, then we are jumping to Back in Time, then we're jumping to his YouTube. But like for me, the pacing is really, really bad. Like I'm giving the pacing like a D minus.
Really? See, I think it had good pacing up until the climax of the film, and then we have more movie after. And then I'm like, what happened to the pacing?
Okay.
Okay, actually, we had really good pacing up until the sister arrives in the town.
Facts.
And then it kind of dips for me, and I feel less invested. And I think that's because they kind of pull back that narrative, or the narration, away from the film a little bit at that point. And then it kind of just mysteriously comes back into the movie. I kind of missed, the narration was really driving it at the beginning. And I think removing that, it kind of like made the setup feel less effective and stuff like that.
True.
So I guess I'd give it a C minus.
Okay, I'll actually change mine to a D plus. I still think editing and pacing was not as great. Now, emotional impact and overall effect. What do we think about this one?
What does that even mean? None. I liked the themes a lot, though. I liked the idea.
I would say that the story, the way that it set it up for the, like, just say overall effect of just talking about the theories and whatnot, that really led me into being like, whoa, we're about to uncover something crazy. I thought this had potential to be my, new favorite found footage film. It just didn't deliver on that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's much of an impact for me. Like, this is I'm not gonna say forgettable, but I can move on from this movie pretty easily. There's other found footage movies that have really hooked into me.
Yeah.
For the rest of my life, probably.
I would probably try this again to see if there's something, like if the writers are smart enough to see if there's something I missed maybe, but overall I would agree. Like I can move on pretty well. So I think average we give this movie possibly a C. I think that's where we average.
Yeah. It's a very average, it's a middle of the road movie in my opinion. Right. I enjoyed it though. I think it's worth watching, but maybe wait till it's on streaming. Don't pay the $7 that we paid.
Well, you want to know something crazy is that this movie only made, I mean, I don't know what the box office release was worldwide for this, but it only made $11,000 box office.
Really? I don't think it was released in theaters though.
I mean, it's IMDb's giving
it had to have been super limited.
I know, maybe like friends and family, and they each charged them $1,000 per ticket.
Maybe I know it had a festival run.
Yeah, it did win. Well, I don't know if it won, but it had a run through the Tribeca Film Festival, which is pretty good. To get into that and to be noticed. Let me see, where are the awards at?
I went to type in "man finds tape," and I typed it. I accidentally pressed the wrong letter.
Oh my god.
And I was just trying to look at Reddit of it, and the most crazy Reddit thread just popped up.
Okay, so it was nominated for a Fresh Blood Award. That was it, actually. Okay.
I think the movie is very fresh, though. I think the approach to this kind of story is ambitious, and I'd be excited to see what the creators do next.
Mm-hmm. Falling into Magnet, though, like as its studio, is right when I saw that Magnet logo come up, I was like, oh god.
Are they not good? I don't recognize.
They just are so many, like some of the old movies that we used to watch, like early 2000s films that were like edgy and whatnot, are the ones that Magnet's been a part of. Anyway, well, Rotten Tomatoes gave this a 5.2. I'm not sorry. IMDb gave it a 5.2. Rotten Tomatoes actually gave it a pretty high score, which is insane. I think
how many reviews though? It might be
something.
Low.
Yeah, also that too. Anyway, but guys, it was an interesting film. I thought there's a lot of cool pieces here that was put together that could have made a really, really good video. It just, for me, it fell flat, and there's the bad outweighs the good here for me, and I don't know, that's just kind of what I felt on this one.
Yeah, I think they could have made it cooler. I think it was a worthy attempt, though.
Yeah.
And I want to see what they do next, and yeah, I would probably give it like a 3 out of 5, ultimately. Maybe a 2 out of 5, 2.5. I'll give it a 2.5. I think I've given better movies 3, so I'll give it a 2.5.
All right, cool. All right, guys. Well, that is going to do it for the first week of Found Footage February. Now, again, just to remind you, we are wrapping. We're doing things a little bit differently, even the way that we critique things. But we're only doing 2 weeks of Found Footage February. Then we're doing. What is the third one again? Real versus real.
Yeah, we're doing 2 found footage movies. Then we're going to do a real versus real, which is where we talk about the true story behind, something that inspired a recent movie, potentially. Mm-hmm. And then, what was the other thing we were going to do?
So we're going to watch something.
So we're looking at movies,
that are brand new in theaters. You guys can still go watch them. But we want to be on top of reviewing current movies. Because we miss so many movies when we do stuff like this. So that was kind of the reason behind it. But guys, thank you for watching. We have a really, really good film for next week. You won't want to miss it. I loved this film. So stick around for next week. We are posting every Tuesday now. Go follow us on all the socials, unless it's Wednesday. Go follow us on all the socials, like, subscribe, share our podcast, and we will see you next time. Peace.
Peace.